Welcome to Confident Growth, the podcast for people who are passionate about personal growth and productivity. We have a special guest who is a very experienced YouTuber and celeb in Singapore, and I would say in the world actually. We have Jianhao.
Hi.
Hi, Jianhao.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. And actually, Jianhao was somebody who really inspired me on my podcast journey. Jianhao, when you first reached out to me to come on your podcast, okay, I was a total social media newbie. I didn't know anything about social media.
There were a few clips of you going viral.
A few lah.
Yeah, a few.
But like,
and that's where I found you. I was like, that was interesting.
I know, but my following was really small. I mean, I think at the time we were talking, I think it was like 30,000, and now it's like 230,000.
Wow.
In the space of
230,000 already?
Yeah. But really, no joke, Jianhao, you inspired me a lot. Like
Thank you.
when I met you, and I saw that you were a young guy, but you had so many businesses. You had an entire set. You had 2 office spaces. You had 200 staff.
Yeah, well, maybe not 200.
Yeah. It seems like 200.
Yeah, sometimes it feels that way. Especially when payroll comes and like, yeah, is it like 300?
I know. It's like, I wanted to invite you because you are a founder, a young founder that has a very interesting journey.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would love for you to share with me. By the way, I should say that my daughter, when she found out that I was going to be on Jianhao's podcast, she screamed. And she has never been excited about anyone famous, not even the president. You know, president of Singapore also don't care. But when she heard that I was going to meet you, she screamed. And that was when I knew that you were big news.
Is she here?
And no, she's not. She's actually in boarding school. But yes, she's very, very thrilled because she said she grew up with your videos on YouTube.
That's so nice.
So I would love for you to like just share a little bit about like what you do and your career journey.
What I do.
Yes.
I'm basically a YouTuber. I mean, I am many things. CEO of Titan.
Yes.
I'm the head creative in Titan. Also, I run a few businesses. But like, I identify as a YouTuber.
What do people most popularly know you for?
I would say YouTuber. Well, some people would say I'm an influencer and stuff. It's just different words, basically. Yeah. But I think when I first started, it was my passion to create YouTube videos. So until today, that is where I sort of lean towards to be a YouTuber. Yeah. And everything, of course, comes along with it. So I run a business doing advertising. And basically, my passion is creating videos. Yeah.
What inspired you to create your first video?
Okay, so a little bit of backstory.
Yes.
I grew up in Cambodia for 6 years. And then I moved to Vietnam, Hanoi for another 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
So I spent a huge majority of my life, childhood, overseas. And it's not the typical countries that you would see. In fact, I rarely know any Singaporeans who have such a life.
Yes.
So my dad worked in the embassy, the Singaporean embassy in Cambodia.
Yes.
So I was sent into international school. So most of my life, I was surrounded by different cultures, different people. My friends were from Korea, India, Vietnam, Cambodia, United States, Australia. So that was my main group of friends. So it was very different. And through that, I got to learn a lot of different things about just culture in general.
Yes.
And because of that, I mean, I think a lot of people during that age also watch YouTube. And perhaps at that time, it was still a bit early for everyone to say, I want to be a YouTuber. But when I first saw it, I was like, this is what I want to do. And I thought about it, and I never really saw a career out of it because technically it was just uploading videos online.
Yes.
But it started because of a school project.
Yes. Oh.
We had to learn how to edit videos. And the video that I worked on was anti-cyberbullying. So we had to make a anti-cyberbullying video.
Okay.
And that was really nice. After I created that, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. You know, I learned to edit and stuff, and it came very natural for me. So me and 2 other friends, we got together and we're like, let's start a YouTube channel. And our first video was how to cut the line in school. Because at the time we were seniors and we were pretty good at like these kind of stuff. So we would advise all our juniors on like how to cut the line. Then at the same time, we lived in Vietnam.
Yes.
We did a video called How to Cross the Road.
Oh my God.
Because everyone knows it's very difficult to cross the road in Vietnam.
I didn't know that was a life skill.
It is a life skill.
Wow.
In fact, you can just close your eyes and walk.
So how do you do it?
You just have to walk.
Just have to walk.
You just have
That's
to
the
walk.
trick.
Yeah. The cars will make way
Just
for
be
you.
confident, have that energy, kind of like DGAF.
I mean, just let them know you're there.
Okay, interesting. And did those videos go viral?
Yeah, no. So it did not go viral, but it was very popular in school.
Right.
So a lot of them, they liked it. We were quite popular in school.
Instant celebrities.
In school.
Yes.
And we ended up doing school talks. And I ended up doing the school speech for my graduation.
Oh,
so,
fun.
Yeah, just in 1 year, YouTube led me to places.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
In school, at
Yes.
least. Because I was really bad in school. Like,
Okay.
I just don't study.
Yes. I hated school too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was
hated.
very lucky to have really smart friends who would help me and are super kind. But like I like when I look back, I'm like, I did not study at all. I don't know what I was doing.
So when was the moment that, you figured out that this is what I'm going to do as a career?
So I came back to Singapore to serve the nation at 18, because at 18, after finishing school, you have to come back.
Oh my God, you only came to Singapore, like this is your first adult
No.
experience.
First ad. Okay, so I would come back once in a while.
Oh,
so
okay.
every 3 months, every
Yes.
6 months, we take like 2-3 weeks back in Singapore to visit grandparents and stuff.
Right.
So it's not like I come back only once a year.
Okay, you're pretty connected.
Yeah,
Do you know like Singlish and like the lingo and all of that? Like, do you know how to swear in Hokkien and that kind of thing?
of course.
You know,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
That's
because
right. Whenever something happens, I go straight to the KNN.
you really don't sound very Singaporean sometimes, though.
Neither do you.
I code switch lah. I also can KN, all of that, right?
I'm sure.
But, but with you, I guess I haven't seen that part of it.
Well, I
About it.
haven't been angry in front of you yet, so you have not.
And I think Titan is like very wholesome, right? So
Yeah, most of them. And also because our content is catered to global audience.
Yeah, that's right.
So when we say Singlish,
yes.
they don't really understand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it affects the viewership. We're hitting 7 million subscribers.
Wow.
So we have about 150
amazing.
million views per month on the channel.
Sorry, how much?
150 million.
150
50.
million views.
So
Oh
like
my
if you
God.
calculate the amount of Singaporeans
Yes.
in Singapore,
Each one has to watch your video 300 times.
Yeah, so obviously that would not be possible, right? Hence the percentage of Singaporeans would decrease and there would be more percentage of global audiences.
Yes.
And it's countries like the United States, Australia, Norway for some reason, and India. Okay.
From the beginning, when you started making videos, okay, then you started to get some momentum. Was it always a global audience, or you
No,
know,
it's just school audience.
it's just a school audience?
The school audience that came back to Singapore.
Uh-huh.
Oh yes, I was talking about that.
Yes.
We came back to Singapore.
Yes.
Served the
Sorry.
nation.
Yes.
And during that time, I just made some videos on the side for fun. After I finished army, I made some friends.
Yes.
So we created a few videos and then it went viral. And from there, I was like, I could build a business of this. So we just kept doing it and we saw a little bit of money come in. And I just put every single cent back to the business.
I remember you saying that you kept on plowing everything that you earned back into the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. How old were you then when you started building
21.
this? 21.
21.
Yeah. And when did you make your first hire?
When I was 21.
How big was your team back then?
It was a team of 4.
Okay.
So we still have that group chat. We call it piano room because we work from the piano room in my house.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and some of them would stay overnight to do work. So, like Ridwan would stay in the balcony. He'll
Yes.
sleep there.
Oh my
And he'll
God.
complain that it gets cold sometimes because of the wind.
He would sleep
but
on
it's-
the balcony.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
Talk about work ethic. Hey, but everyone says Gen Z doesn't have work ethic. Eh?
I don't know. I think it was different during that time. I don't
Yes.
think he would do it now. No, in fact, he probably
I'm
would.
gonna ask Ridwan.
Yeah, he would. But it was a time where we really had so much passion to make these videos.
Yes.
And because we were getting such high viewership on each of them, it was worth it to put our all. It was worth it to go all in. And before we got our own space, we did it in a piano room. And our table would be the piano.
Oh my goodness. But like, yeah, the piano room group is still intact today, all the four of you?
Yes.
That is a major testament to your bond. I don't know how many people still are together in the original shape and form.
Yeah, I think it's nice because most of that group, even the ones slightly after, are all with me right now. So it's really nice.
Yeah. What do you think is that special formula that led you to stick together even when all these other founders that I see are just quarreling and falling apart?
I don't know, luck, I guess. Luck.
You think you're very compatible personalities and complementary personalities, your similar work ethic or what?
No, I don't.
No,
I don't.
not at all.
I disagree with some lifestyle choices and some other choices.
Yes.
But I have a certain understanding.
Yes.
And I love them as friends and my brothers.
Yes.
And of course, the people who came after, they are like family to me. So I do take care of them.
You know, I do notice that when I work with the media industry, people in the media industry, they tend to have this culture where because you do such long hours together and it's so stressful, like the team bonds under that stress.
Oh yeah, adversity bonds people,
Yes.
for sure.
And this is also interesting because as somebody who advises corporates in every single sector, everyone will come to me and say, Gen Zs, they're lazy, they're, strawberry and this and that. And yet at the same time, I had this experience that when I went on your podcast, your team, who were also young, had done the most research, were the most prepared, the most professional team I had ever worked with. And I have gone for interviews with mainstream media before where literally they have like 10, 15 people running around, and yet it's like the questions aren't spot on. It's not like, they haven't done their work and everything's kind of amateur hour. And I'm like, how come you guys are like so professional?
I think we understand the scope of this job, and we try to remain very focused on the things that matter.
You said that your firm is advertising.
Yep,
That's what you
advertising.
called it.
Yeah, advertising.
Some people would
creative.
say that you are creative, but you describe yourself as an advertising firm. And I think that's really interesting.
I mean, technically, that's where the revenue comes from. So,
Okay.
as a firm, it's advertising.
How do you balance the creative side with the advertising and businessy kind of side?
Okay, firstly, I have really good people in the team that I
Yes.
can rely on. So the advertising team does their thing. The sales team, they're great. The creative team, they know exactly what they're doing. And I'm sort of the core, right? So that sort of synergy works for us.
So it's like really having clearly defined roles and like responsibilities, and then like you being the orchestrator that
Clearly defined departments,
departments.
but not roles.
Right. Interesting.
Because everyone has to wear different hats.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you a genuine question.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to tell me the specific numbers, right? But everyone has a different way of coming up with their pricing model. And I've spoken to a lot of influencers, and there's no one consensus on how they come up with their rates. Some people do it on a kind of like hourly basis, where it's like, this is how much of my time is required, and And some people do it kind of based on the value. Some people market, I don't know. But like, do you have a philosophy of this? Like, how would you price up?
Yeah, I probably have a matrix somewhere in my head that includes the value of that brand collab for the influencer itself.
Yes.
So if that influencer has years of experience, years of that affinity with their audiences, and if they are at the top of their game, then I think despite the amount of followers, there is a huge advantage for the brand to engage someone like them as compared to just another influencer with a lot of numbers. However, numbers don't lie, and engagement is pretty much the most important metric.
Yes.
Then, of course, you have to see the branding side, and ultimately, as an influencer, you should also think about your opportunity cost. If it's a campaign where it takes time, like you said, engage by the hour, right? Let's say, for example, hosting.
Yep.
Hosting would make sense.
Right.
Hosting would make sense to engage by the hour. But if it's filming, or let's say if you were to be appearing in a movie, then you can sort of look at the value that it brings you, and that's where you say, okay, I can negotiate my rates for this. But I agree, it's difficult to come up with a price these days.
Yes, very interesting.
Yeah, but we do have that metric, and we do an analysis on each influencer and the years of their experience.
Right.
and the results that they can bring to the brand.
So do you also mentor influencers?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Everyone is so different. So you really have to have a bespoke plan for each influencer.
How do you mentor them? Do you just look at what they're doing, give feedback, or
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. But I try to also understand them first. Yeah. And
How many influencers do you mentor?
we have about, do I mentor?
Yeah, or
Well, okay, I don't do like one-on-one mentoring.
okay, but in your
and
portfolio, and then how many do you
we have about 80.
80.
Yeah.
Okay. And then like do you personally mentor like a portion of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So like the up and coming ones.
But I don't do like, okay, we need to sit down and have a meeting and look at I used to do that with some.
Yes.
But I realized that it's not very productive.
Right.
It would make more sense if I see something and be like, hey, I think this could be better. You know, if you shoot it on, a different frame rate, or like if you change the way you caption your words and change it maybe to past tense, so it seems like it's more relevant and more in the moment.
Yes.
The engagement will increase, stuff like that.
That is so practical and that's so hands-on. I think that's like so much better than like normally when people say mentoring, sometimes they just tell stories about themselves. And then, like, when I was your age.
I try not to do that. Because when I was young, I was very annoyed by that also.
Yeah, it's
so
very
I always tell
right?
myself like, don't tell stories. As I get older, I'm like, okay, don't tell.
Okay, so coming back to getting older and becoming a dad.
Yeah, I'm 30 this year.
Yes.
So not so young anymore.
You're not, well, pretty young, but you've entered this new phase, which is parenthood.
Yes.
Do you think that you've changed significantly as a parent, or are you still the same Jianhao?
I think I'm the same.
You're the same?
Yeah.
What do you think your parenting style is?
I would describe myself as I just want to love my child and give her the best. I feel maybe it might be slightly different if my child was a boy, but because she's a girl,
Yes.
I'm so, having a daughter is just, it's different. You just want to love her. You just want to give everything to her.
When you look at Starly, you look so besotted.
Yeah.
I followed the whole Buncha journey.
Yeah. So this year I lost Buncha.
Yeah.
I had her 8 years ago.
Yes, this is your pet.
Yeah.
Yeah, what breed was she?
Pomeranian.
Pomeranian, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she was quite iconic with her rainbow tail. And
Yes.
she was actually the reason why I got together with my wife, because I brought her to the pet groomer and my wife was the pet groomer.
No
at that time.
way.
Yeah. So like every 2 weeks I would send Buncha to the groomers and Debbie would be like, okay, she doesn't need a haircut. I'm like, I'm sure she does. Take a closer look.
I thought that you met Debbie because she was an actress with you, so she became an actress later.
Yeah. So I actually tried to keep Debbie off social media for a few years.
Yes.
Because I didn't want her to be exposed to all the negative side of social media.
Oh wow. I mean, when I looked at Debbie, I was like, wow, like she just
she
looks
is
like a
a
natural
natural. She
actress
is a
now. She
natural.
looks like a natural influencer,
Yeah,
right?
she is.
But like, so when you tell me she's like, she started off as a pet groomer.
Yeah, she was a pet groomer.
That's very improbable.
Yeah, she was a pet groomer.
And I think very unusual for people your generation to meet out and about in the real world as opposed to like on Tinder or something, right?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. I'm not sure because I've never had a relationship from Tinder. So I wouldn't know how.
You've never used online dating apps?
I never had a relationship on Tinder, from Tinder.
How did you know she was the one?
I think instantly I knew. Like, I really liked her.
Yeah, was it because Buncha liked her?
No, I liked her, so Buncha had to like her. Yeah.
She seems like a really chill and sweet person.
She is.
So like, how do you both with Starly navigate this whole social media spotlight? Because like sometimes I remember seeing you live stream.
Yeah.
You do these really interesting live streams where it was kind of like unusual because you were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And you were like seemingly doing nothing but just being like a normal human being, which I had never seen before. And I thought this is very strange because like my idea of you, Jianhao, is that you're a very private person. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but you vibe a bit introverted.
I am very introverted.
Yeah, so then when like suddenly I'm on TikTok and I see Jianhao is like playing with Starly and it's like so private and so intimate.
Yeah.
I don't even think I can do that, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that even though I'm like not so introverted.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to live streams or content with
Yes.
with Starly. Just keep it organic. And because she grew up in this family where we're always filming, she watches video of me, she watches videos of, she watches us at work. She's also quite inclined to become a performer also. So she actually has a performance tomorrow.
Oh.
And she's the Little Mermaid.
Oh.
And she's been practicing for us, and she's just 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cute to see her become like this. I think another point was also, I think there was a YouTube Fan Fest last year.
Yes.
She met this girl from Philippines, Niana. I can't pronounce the name right, but she's basically a dancer in the Philippines, a TikTok star.
Yeah.
And Starly was just bewildered by her presence.
Wow.
And watching that little kid dance on stage, and like you could see the switch from there. And then the days after, Starly's like, Papa, let's do a dance. Papa, let's do this.
It's
Let's
written
do
in
that."
her genes.
Yeah. At this point, I just like to have fun with her.
Yeah.
And just keep it natural.
I'm still interested and curious because even though there is a part of you that, of course, Starly feels is natural, but how about you and your wife? Do you have conversations about boundaries and how much to show and what to talk about, where to draw the line?
We do have conversations, but not very serious ones. It's not like we ever sat down and say, no, we don't do this, we don't do that. But it's as the way I do everything, it's step-by-step process.
Right.
And when we see something, we're like, okay, because we do watch a lot of social media, right?
Yes.
And we learn from other people's mistakes. We also see what other people are doing right.
Yes.
And we're like, yeah, let's pivot towards this kind of style. And there are certain things that we say, okay, maybe we can just avoid it.
Right.
I mean, maybe it's not wrong, but it's just not something we want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I find like Greg and I often have these conversations like, because Greg always says I'm an oversharer, which I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can say the same about my wife also.
Yeah. So I really have no issues, I can talk about anything, my sex life, anything, ask me anything, it's all cool. But then Greg is like a much more private person.
Right.
Like, and so sometimes I feel like, I do check with him, like, is this okay? And he's like, yeah, but you're oversharer, so just do what feels right. So I think he has also that trust in me that I do overshare, but I overshare about things not in a disrespectful way.
Yeah.
As in, I might share about stuff that maybe people don't normally talk about lah. But like...
Like what?
Okay, like, I don't know, like...
I mean, you mentioned sex life, right? So where I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable.
We had this conversation the other day. Somebody asked me about like recommendations. Then I said to Greg, like, can I share about vibrators? And then I was like, is that okay? Greg's like, yeah, you're oversharer. So share... but
so is there a way to choose or...
I mean, for me, it's like, people were asking me like, how would you choose a good vibrator if you've never had a vibrator before? Like, which one would you start with, sort of thing? And I mean, it's a bit of an overshare because like not everyone wants to think of somebody sharing about their vibrator. But I mean, the boundary for me is like, if somebody asks me like, oh, do you ever have problems with your sex life with Greg? And then I wouldn't feel comfortable like oversharing about Greg because it's something that impacts him.
Yeah, and it compromises him. So
exactly.
Yeah,
so I think that's kind of like what I mean.
Right. Yeah, I think it's fine.
So,
and there's value to it because it's insightful. And these days when you want to listen about podcasts, I'm sure there's like 100 YouTubers, thousands of YouTubers sharing their life. But for advice like that, it doesn't come easy. So it's so many people send different messages to you. Do you have one message that is general to everyone?
No.
Where they can just like, oh yeah.
There are certain core concepts that because I teach a lot, I will come back to. But I believe that with every single person, their situation is very different. And I don't think there's a kind of happy, clappy, okay, just kind of like whatever, get through it.
To be honest, that is the mindset I go to during tough times.
Which one?
The one where let's just be positive.
Let's just do it.
Yeah,
just compartmentalize and do it.
Yeah. So during tough times, and I go through quite a lot of tough times at work.
I think I do it too with myself, but the difference is that I don't expect others to do it.
Yeah, so I expect my team to do it at times.
Yeah.
And I understand it's a struggle for them.
Yes.
There are times where when someone is not performing.
Yes.
Yeah, I read this from football because there was some football manager. He's like, when a player wasn't performing, instead of making him train harder, he just got a week off. So I tried that.
Yes.
I tried it before.
How did that work?
It worked with different people.
Yes, that's the
So
thing.
that's the tough part
Yes.
because everyone is so different.
Yes.
And you really have to get into their lives. And
Yes.
there are people who has gone through something so ridiculously tough and you understand them and you're like, you know what, take a break. And they're like, no, I have to come to work. I need to come to work tomorrow. And I'm like, no, you don't. But to them, they need to. And I realized that it's also their way of dealing with it. Everyone's different. It's crazy. So,
yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah. And also to kind of like take a different angle on that, like I think people like you and me are very passionate about what we do. And there's this like passionate in terms of a problem solving, intellectual curiosity level, as well as on a heart level about what we do. But the biggest thing I had to learn when I was like dealing with a team is like some people it's just a job. It's just a job to them, right? They just want to do what it is. They don't have that level of ambition or that level of intellectual curiosity about what it is.
Right. I agree. And so the way I deal with that is to identify those people and take a more corporate approach. Okay. And the people who really dwell in passion and feelings and relationship and vibes, then I just try to vibe with them.
Yeah. I love that. What were some of your key milestones that you're proudest of in this year?
Oh, we just did our 100th episode of Titan Academy. So I am really proud of that.
Oh, wow.
Because it's a series that so much of the youth have grown up with, you know.
Your fans are really diehard when I see their comments and how invested they are with the storyline and the characters.
Yeah, and I can't believe we are at 100 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's quite insane because I look at it, I'm like, we're at 100. I thought we're at like 27. But, you know, we've just been doing this week in and week out. And so often, and the people who are all part of it have invested so much of their energy and so much of their life into this. And it's just really nice to see everyone grow together and create something that is so successful and difficult to replicate.
And made Asia proud and Singapore proud to put us on the map.
Yeah. So I think that's a nice thing.
What did you do to celebrate that?
We went for a big shoot.
Oh, what?
We went for a big shoot. We shot on a cruise. So we shot our 100th episode.
Is that a celebration or
no?
Is that,
we haven't
said we
haven't.
Like a celebration.
Honestly, it's not the
like
time for celebration.
Right. But you got to make space for
I
these
do.
milestones. Yeah.
I skipped a few
Work
celebrations and parties this year, to be honest.
Yes.
Like over the last few years.
Yes.
Like especially at the beginning, like every little milestone we will celebrate.
Yes.
Oh, 500K subscribers, 600K. You know, then we'll go for parties.
That's huge, man.
Yeah. Then we just kept doing that, and you sort of get diminishing returns out of that.
Right.
And I understand that there is a balance between needing to really take the time and look back and celebrate your achievements.
Yes.
But I think it was because of COVID.
Okay.
Because of COVID, where like we would hit milestones and it almost didn't matter because it's COVID, we can't do anything, and that mindset has sort of brought itself corrupted it to the present, and it's like, I mean, we didn't celebrate 3 million. Why should we celebrate 7?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so 100 episodes. Other milestones?
Starly's performing tomorrow. I think that is the most important thing to me.
Beautiful.
I think the work milestones, it comes, it goes, you know, there are challenges, there are milestones, but the true, like what I really live for is to see her grow. And tomorrow she's having a school performance. I think really excited for that.
Yeah, I wish I would give almost anything, Jianhao. I would give almost anything to have a time machine so I could go back and relive my kids.
Yeah, I you know what? I hear this so often, and it just tells me like, okay, I don't have a time machine, but I'm not that far in the future yet. So just enjoy every moment. And I try to remind myself that, but it's honestly very difficult with like if you're managing so many businesses and challenges.
Yes.
So it's a real balancing act.
One of those annoying sayings that's also so true is like the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
It's like it really feels like that. How do you like manage being so busy? Like, is it because you got a wonderful?
I do.
Yeah. Dasha, you're here. And like, what's your official title?
I'm Jianhao's personal assistant.
You're Jianhao's personal assistant, right? And I've seen like his life radically improve since you came, right?
It has.
Because I'm also interested in hopefully finding someone like Dasha. How do you work with Dasha?
Well, we spend a lot of time together, so
Yeah.
our minds are like merged.
Wow.
So I think the most important thing is like she understands me.
Like, do you have a cadence that every morning there's like a check-in, or like how do you do, or is it like very organic on WhatsApp?
Organic.
Yeah.
It's on WhatsApp.
It's like-
for the past few years,
Yes.
for the past 6 years, and I can show, I have a yellow diary.
Uh-huh.
I carry with me everywhere.
Yes.
And I was stressed when I can't find it. I'll look at the calendar.
Yes.
I'm like stressing.
Yes.
And I'm writing stuff.
Yes.
And then I'm like, the amount of correction tape I had to use, like I stock up on correction tape and just. But this year I didn't need it anymore, and my life has drastically improved.
Yes.
And in terms of productivity and keeping myself busy, I mean, honestly, I do still have time for myself.
Yes.
But not daytime.
Okay.
So I don't go out often. Like in the day, it's like really work and meetings. But aside from that, I think it's quite normal. I think I'm quite a normal person, to be honest.
I think so too.
Yeah.
You have a very like normal and unassuming vibe.
Yeah.
And what is your word or phrase for 2024 if you have one?
Yeah, I'll start with 2023.
Sure.
This year, I tried my best to be a stoic.
Ryan Holiday stoic.
A stoic.
Yes.
I've been reading books.
Dude, you are like
And
a stoic already.
I tried
You're
to
very
be.
stoic, like.
Okay, but I have not reached that maximum level yet. You know, where things don't faze me. And it was very difficult because I think I was doing really well until like Buncha's death.
Oh, yeah.
And that really hit me.
Yes.
And like it threw me off my path to stoicism and like emotional. I wouldn't say I'm like emotional imbalance, but more emotional than I usually would be. So then because of that, I find it difficult to curb my irritation at certain things, you know. Sometimes just like, okay, it doesn't matter. But when you're dealing with something like that, you're just like, you just gotta say it. So
Right, of course.
So next year, I'm gonna try to be more stoic. And I would also say and suggest to people that like just do your best. And when you say do your best, don't just assume that it's your best. Like most of the time when you say you do your best, it's not your best.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't have that self-awareness.
Oh yeah, so self-realization and self-accountability is really, really important. Yeah. You know, when I see people do personality tests,
Yes.
the MBTI test, I'm like, why are you wasting time?
I know.
Like you are answering questions that like you this is what you think of yourself,
Yes.
but it's not.
It's a self-assessment.
Yeah.
You think that you are so high in empathy. Hello.
Like get like two people who know
Yes.
you really well sit beside you
Exactly.
and see whether you are answering correctly. Then tell me your
Yes.
MBTI.
I mean, the research shows that 90% of people think they're highly self-aware, and the real number is only 10 to 15%.
Right.
So that means there's an
I believe that.
80% awareness gap.
I believe that.
So people everywhere, 80% of everyone is walking about lying to themselves about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things. The more you grow old, the more you realize, the less you know, and especially about yourself,
Oh,
how you come across.
right. I learned something again.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today,
you.
Jianhao. It was a really, really interesting conversation, and I didn't expect time to fly so fast. I'm very, very privileged because I know this is your busiest season at work. So can you just tell our audience, like, where can we find you and Titan and all your stuff?
Oh, well, it depends where you are. If you're on YouTube, you can find me at Jianhao. If you're on Instagram, you can find me at the Jianhao Tan. If you're on TikTok, you can find me at the Jianhao Tan. But okay, I also want to share with you something.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, of course.
Like when you do content, right?
Yes.
Like distribution is so important, and,
Yes.
and really separating all the different types of content
Yes.
is so important. And like when people see me, right? Like different people who come up to me know different versions of me because I have a family channel. So on that family channel, I'm more of like a dad. I'm more of like more of easygoing, fun.
Yes.
And when I'm on the Titan vlogs, then I'm a little bit more crazy. More extravagant, right? On my main channel, I mean it's a comedic drama sitcom series.
Yes.
So
It's a
it's a character. And on the gaming channel,
Yes.
I just try to be as rude and
profane
as possible.
Provocative.
To trigger my
That's the one I want to check out next.
Yeah. So it's
I've only
different
seen
versions
wholesome
of me.
Jianhao.
Yeah. So that's why when you ask like where can you find me, it's like I would like to say that I'm everywhere, but yeah,
Different incarnations of you.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Different facets
Sun
of you.
Wukong's 72 transformation.
Oh.
Yeah. But the one place to find me would be Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where I show my life mainly, and
Yes.
what I do every day, Instagram
Yeah.
stories, and
Yes.
that would probably be the most true to this Jianhao state.
Okay, fantastic. So, well, I really enjoy watching all of your content.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure having you
Thank you.
on.
I enjoy being here too. I always learn something when I meet
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. It's a mutual admiration. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
And we'll see you next week again for Confident Growth, the podcast for people who are passionate about personal growth and productivity. Bye.